welcome to another episode of Life According to Brian.
And Jason.
Hey, Jason, another episode, buddy.
Dude, hey, it was a good day today. Hope you had a good one too.
I did. It's this time of year where, I avoid watching the news unless it's coaches getting fired. That
Dude,
seems
it's
to pique my
happening.
interest right now.
Dude,
And
it is.
it's busy right now. So there's, according to my math, there's 9 NFL teams looking for head coaches. And so, Um, obviously, you're a Broncos fan, and that organization was a dumpster fire there for a few years, and now they're the best. They clinched the whole NFC or AFC NFC side and
The AFC side,
AFC,
yeah, they're doing good. Ownership helps.
right?
Um, Sean Payton's trying to whip it up in shape, turn us into the Saints. But I really like Bo Nix,
Right.
and I'm hopeful against the Bills, and I feel it's a home game. And I think the crowd and Bo will step up.
Okay. Hmm. Well, that shows you right there. If you find, I'm not a Sean Payton fan, I'll say that, but he's a hell of a coach, and he's great with the Saints. Gotten that little year suspension. Now he's back, and he kind of came in, kind of said some weird stuff. But as far as his coaching ability, I think he's running a pretty good organization. And now that is the question for these teams, that we're
Okay.
seeing is, do you think the era of long-term hire coaches, first of all, that's been disappearing for years, but is it formally over now? We saw the last two reigning long-term head coach positions both walk away. One got fired, one walk away just this week. So we got John Harbaugh with the Ravens gone after 16 years? And
Mm-hmm.
Mike Tomlin with the Pittsburgh Steelers, 18 years. So it's an amazing run. Is that era over, Jason?
I think for many teams it is. However, those two teams you talked about, and I have to tell you, the Chiefs, their ownership group is solid, and it has been that way for years. When
Right.
you have that is the common denominator. I feel they could hire some new people here, and those people could stay for a good long time for those teams. Um, you know, Teams want to win now, and ownership groups, some team ownerships don't have the best communication. They're looking at optics, or they want to win now within the next 5 years because they may not be owning the team. Those are billion-dollar teams, Brian. So not everyone wants to hold on to the team for the years, but um, it is a cash cow. So I would say no because of some teams having just great ownership. We'll continue that a little bit. Yes.
Well, I think, football especially fans are very critical of their teams when they don't make the postseason. And so I think, as you said, all football teams are worth big bucks now. Yes, there are some soft market teams, but not like in baseball. I think most teams are fairly solid, say on revenues, and can really hire and pay whoever they want. Maybe Green Bay is probably the smallest market.
Yeah.
But when these coaches are getting paid 15 to 18 million dollars for the top tier, it doesn't seem like money's much of an issue when it comes to these coaches. And so I think you can just keep throwing the cash around and try to find a coach and system that sticks. So I just feel we're kind of caught in a 2 to 3 year loop on almost all these teams.
So you think we're kind of done?
I think we're
You
done.
think
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. I think you hit it right there. It's like you keep the fans happy by firing people on a losing year. Seems weird, but it keeps your fans engaged, still buying tickets, buying merch. If you just said, we're not firing someone for 10 years, and you were crap for 10 years.
Yeah,
But
except those guys were not crap.
no,
Harbaugh was not crap.
neither one of them were.
Tomlin, not crap. They
Now,
really persevered. Now, but then it gets to a point where you're like, making the playoffs isn't enough. Or, I'm
right,
sorry, some teams would be, yes, please, sign me up.
right, yep. So, yeah, look, look at the Browns. Okay, they've had how many head coaches in the last couple of years? It must be really hard to be a Browns fan. Would would let's throw this out. Would the Browns want some stability? Hire a head coach that's going to be there for 8 years. I don't know.
But here's the problem, man. It's the ownership or meddlers. They don't let the football people do their job. The
Right,
Browns are a perfect example of that. They had like 5 quarterbacks this last time. It was a complete disarray and has been. Like Skavansky didn't have. I didn't feel like he had total control over what's going on. Sure, he has to deal with the groceries that are given to him by the general manager, but I just felt like he was being told, hey, you're going to start Sanders. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Or he said no, and then circumstances, people got hurt. It was just a mess. I think he's glad
right,
he's out of there personally. I don't know. I think owners that are meddlers, like, hello, Jerry Jones. I mean, dude, he's a general manager. He has a radio show, podcast like this one. Um, dude, he's just got to let the football people do the football thing.
right, right.
So that's what's going to really hurt it.
Well, it's interesting. I think this is one of the first times, correct me if I'm wrong, that I saw an owner actually on the sidelines monitoring the team. So, the Indianapolis Colts, uh, the daughter of
Yep,
the original
Ursay.
owner,
Yep,
you know,
Ursay. Yep.
her say she's on the sideline. She's got a notepad, and I read some article saying that she was like, if you're going to pay people this amount of money, you want to know whether they're for real or full of crap. And I thought that was an interesting take as an owner. It's like,
Yes.
you know, you don't know. You're not a football coach. You didn't start coaching in high school and work up through college and finally make the NFL. You're an owner family. And yeah, how do you know from an owner you got the real deal or not? What do you think?
You got to trust. Man, it's hard. Trust is hard. But people who make that kind of money have good people around them. You
Right.
surround yourself with people who are better than you. You let them do their job. When they get
Mm-hmm.
their money, they are investing and they're taking advice from others. Now, they can also, obviously, they have the final say. They're a key component to making their money. But
Right. Mm-hmm.
at some point, they don't know everything about all their businesses. So they're relying on people. It's just so hard because it's a high visible sport. Sports, as in our past podcast, bring people together. People are very passionate.
Right.
Definitely the fanatic
Mm-hmm.
part is in there. They're not, shy to tell you and or not go. That happened with the Broncos with, some of our past coaches and how things are going. McDaniels, he was horrible, and people just weren't going to the games, and so something had to happen. But and they sold the team. But I get back to your question. Yes, probably for most, they just have to be patient in life
Is
and
America
everywhere
patient right
else.
now?
I don't think they're patient, man.
I
No.
yeah, I don't think football fans are patient. I'm looking at these lists on my computer screen as we're talking, and I think there's two camps of people in football, especially in the upper tier coaching leagues. And I think some, they get their shot. They're either an offense or a defense coordinator for like a major team, and then they get their shot for head coach. And I think I'm looking at Vance Joseph here. He's on the list. for interviewing for the Arizona Cardinals. Well, isn't Vance, with the Broncos right now? Because, yeah, he's a defensive coordinator for the
Yeah, he's the
Broncos,
defensive coordinator.
right?
He was the defensive coordinator for them, the Cardinals, and for Miami Dolphins before he came back to Denver after being the head coach.
Right.
So
So
he has some ties.
that's the question: is Vance better at just staying a defensive coordinator or jumping back into the seat of a head coach? What do you think? We just see these pogos. There's just these guys that bounce in and out of these positions.
Well, and something we don't know is how much control and say does a brand new coach really have? Like, do they have say on hiring their staffs? Do they have say on who they're going to play? That isn't always said because they want the job. I know I'm not so sure Vance Joseph, when he was at the Broncos as a head coach, had full say. He had coaches he had to take. He had former head coaches on his staff that he did not pick,
Right.
and it's just like how much control they have, how much you're willing to be patient and give up control, Brian. That is the give up control. If you really think this person can do it, give a $1 billion operation over to a young coach.
Right. Right.
Are
Oh,
you
that's a
willing
hard
to
one.
do
Yeah,
that? Now,
you're right. I mean,
the
there's
established teams like Baltimore, Kansas City, and Steelers, I think they say, you know what? Yeah, they're watching, but I think
sure,
they know that personally. So, but
right,
the Browns do not know that. Dolphins, not so sure.
right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we have no idea about how organizations are structured. My whole world, I view it through the lens of, you know, me being a school leader. Which leadership's leadership, no matter what you talk about. So, and there's so much at play that people don't know. And
Yep.
I get it, but you get these 3-hour glimpses at people. You sit there and you watch a game and you watch how they lead on the sidelines. You watch how they interact with players. You watch how players either respect or disrespect their head coach, all that kind of stuff. And, um, yeah, I kind of feel if I was an owner, at a certain point, you have to look at a person's track record and say, you may not be the head coach material. You get these stints, you try and you fail and you get bounced back. Um, uh, that's what each owner's got to figure out. Who's the real deal? You know. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then having staffs that keep them healthy, the players healthy. There's a lot of injuries going around, man. Your training staff,
Uh-huh.
that group is very important, just how they run their business. And of course, all these coaches have their buddies, their people that go with them.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well,
overall, Brian, you kind of convinced me. I think we are not in an era of that. I think it's 5 years, give or take, unless you're lucky enough to have a Mahomes,
mm-hmm.
Josh Allen,
Right.
Joe Burrow. But even then, it's been
How much
tough.
is really, a head coach's success is really based on some things that are somewhat out of their control too. And that is, man, their GM picks you some great players, you know,
Right.
uh,
Here's another question real quick. Who do you think's the better? You're a principal. So are you micromanaging your instructional coach, your dean, or are you letting them just do their job and you're just kind of doing the big questions? Um, watching the Texans and their coach, DeMarco Ryans, he had just one headphone. He didn't have a play sheet. He's not playing calls or, making calls. He's just listening and giving his 2 cents when he has to, and he's letting his people do the work. Now, the Texans aren't great, but they are trending up.
right.
Then you got Sean making the plays. You got people, Tomlin's more of a manager. He's letting his people do it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh's letting people do it.
Right.
What do you think of that, real quick?
Well, from what I know about good leadership is you're monitoring people and you keep teaching them your expectation over and over. You keep pushing them to get better and better and better. So therefore, as the leader, you can sit back and go, okay, they're running the show. Why? Because I've been leading them little by little to get to the level that we need. And I think some coaches probably just say, well, you're the defense coordinator. Bring me the show. I want to see it. And then if you're not doing well, you're getting fired. Versus, I think those coaches, especially like Mike Tomlin, he's probably oversees everything pretty tightly. But at the end of the day, if you look at his postseason record for, say, the last 10 years or whatever it was, I saw some kind of ESPN thing, his teams could not close at the end. And that's kind of finally what has done him in. And so that's a reflection on him that there's maybe a gap in between him and the expectations of his coaching staff on where that needs to go. And if I was a billion-dollar owner going, you're a great coach, but you can't close, you know, you know, we might have a solid team, but I don't know based on what the track record is, can you really bring it full circle? And yes,
Yeah.
it's a competitive sport. You got one Super Bowl ring, but maybe in a career you got one. Is that as good as you can get? I don't
Yeah, up and coming coach that I really like. I said before, Houston. Now they were not looking good the other day, but DeMarco Ryans as head coach, he needs the time.
know.
They surged really well, then they
Right.
didn't do good. Your quarterback's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
He started hot, then he got slow, then he got hurt. How
Right.
do you deal with that? You know,
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan's another one.
Right.
Man, he has not done it. Talk about not being able to
Close.
finish. Dude,
Mm-hmm.
injuries, just horrible luck. Is it? I don't
Right.
know, man. Keep happening to you, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's the head coach of the Patriots right now?
Um, that's Grable. Vrabel.
Yeah. Boy,
Mike
is
Vrabel.
that guy a sideline. He is talking to everybody.
Yep.
He's firing people up. And then there's the other coaches got their arms folded. I go back to the Tom Landry days who just stood there.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and it's like, I'm just watching, I'm just monitoring. Are you doing our game plan or not? I don't
Well,
know. I
they're
mean, I
they're
never,
doing a lot of former players, taking on coaching roles. You know, he's one
mm-hmm,
of them. So,
right.
and DeMarco Ryans was a player. Just that bringing it, relate, and of course the young coaches. I think you were talking about that. Can you relate to the players? There's so much involved. I don't know.
Well, and I think when I'm looking at the list, I don't know everyone's background, but I do know the head coach from the Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, that got fired. His whole story is a weird one because he was really never player. He did
Right.
go to college, but basically he just kind of came up through the Broncos ranks
Yeah.
and was kind of that inner circle of the Shanahan, you know, that produced Kyle and all of them from Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at him, and then I watched that show Hard Knocks. I think they did a season on the Dolphins. He just doesn't have a lot of locker room control and stuff, but he's a brilliant football mind. So that's another thing. Who's got these brilliant minds, but they don't run a tight coaching organization.
Well, gosh, Vic Fangio, he just wanted to deal with his defense. He was like, just deal with everything else.
Right.
Offense, you get it done. But you should kind of know that. Like these interviews, wouldn't you love to see how these interviews, like, what do they have to do? What questions? I wonder if
Right.
that's somewhere.
Right?
What questions do they ask? It's an afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
just
Right.
you wonder what that is because like billions of dollar
That would be a great
organization.
reality TV show. Hey, the private
Yes.
interviews of NFL coaches.
What the heck
Right?
are they asking? I would love that. I
Yeah, that would
should
be
look that
cool.
up. Hello,
Yeah,
Googleator.
there you Yeah. Can we get the question sheets from your head coach interviews? So that'd be great.
Yeah. Okay, just real quick. I don't know him at all, but I think I told you mine. DeMarco Ryan, I think, is one of my more favorite coaches upcoming. I just seem to like how he acts on the field, the players he has, what he's trying to do. I like his defense. Is there any team that you've just seen on Sunday watching? We don't know anything. What what team? I mean, I'm not a big Sean Payton fan. He's kind of a jerk, but sometimes you need a jerk to get
Right.
people moving. What
Mhm.
what team would you say just in your watching on Sunday this season? Just you
Uh,
like?
like the coaching wise,
Yeah, you just like, you know what? I look at that guy, the team. Hey, I like what they're doing. I mean, we don't know anything. We know absolutely nothing, but just
who,
eyeballs for 3 hours. You're like, you know what? I
who's
enjoy
the
watching these guys.
who's the coach of the Seattle Seahawks? I don't know that.
Oh yeah, he's young. Yeah.
He's young.
Um, I'm
I'll
looking
have
that
to
up really
Google that.
quick. Um, that would be how come it doesn't
And the
say
reason
the
I bring
coach
that
there?
person up, as I am trying to fight with AI at the moment, um,
Mike McDonald.
yes, that team, for whatever reason, has a sense of urgency. And that to me has to come from the top. I know Sam Darnold has a chip on his shoulder and he wants to
Yeah.
prove it. He's kind of playing like Patrick Mahomes was like 4 years ago, right? Just every play is a critical play. There's just an energy, Sam. But that head coach, he's built a sense of urgency. The second team behind them with a sense of urgency is the Patriots. So that to me is everything. This is a game of energy and focus, and Seattle Seahawks are just bringing it. They just
Yeah.
have the eye of the tiger, brother.
Well, they have an identity. See, like Broncos, our identity, even though Sean wants to be all the offensive guru, it's defense. Seattle, they have a strong defense. They're more all round team, I feel, kind of.
Right,
And Houston's more of a defensive team. They're trying to pull along what they can.
right,
Knowing your identity, knowing your thing, a coach that says, this is who we are. Let's go.
right, right. Yeah,
Okay, that's good.
yeah, and I think that's what wins football games. Football's a game of high stakes energy management. And if you're going to manage that many huge players with that much testosterone, you're just not thinking leadership. You're in the energy management business. How do you channel all that in the right direction? Because look at what you've also seen on the sidelines where guys are like chipping at each other on the same team. The Eagles had a little thing going on between Sirianni and whoever that was. The whole
Oh, yeah.
point is that's energy, yes, but is that the energy? It looks bad as far as optics, but maybe that's good. Maybe it's like, you're fired up and it's kind of like when, the Chiefs get all sideways, you know?
Sure. Sure. Now, hey, I know we're running up against the time thing here, but before we go, this is going to drop on a Friday before playoff weekend. Okay, if I'm going to name off some teams, okay, tell me who you think is going to win. Let's make some predictions here. Broncos, Bills. What's your thought?
Hmm. I'm going to go with the Bills because I think it's a do or die year for uh, that organization.
Okay, I think the Broncos defense is going to step up and give all kinds of trouble. So I'm picking the Broncos.
Okay,
All
I'm
right,
going with the Bills.
Patriots, Texans.
Patriots all the way. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'm going Texans. My boy, they got to
Okay.
get their quarterback step up, but that defense was incredible. Like
Yeah.
Incredible, inspired. I think they're going to get after Drake May. Okay,
Yeah.
Seahawks, 49ers.
Seahawks all the way. Yeah.
I would agree. Seahawks. They just have dog in them, man.
I think 49ers are going to have
Dogs.
a hard time. I think they're going to struggle the whole game.
Yep. Okay, and Bears and Rams.
I'm going actually Bears on this. So,
Are you? Why is that?
you know, the Rams, Sean McVay teams, you got to be careful. But Bears got the energy. You know, they're moving. They're kind of the dark horse team that I saw a few weeks back. It's like if they can kind of get their act together, it's a brand new head coach, and Caleb's been trying to prove himself as a quarterback the last couple of years. I think they're gonna bring it to the end. They're gonna bring it all the way. So, we'll see.
Okay, I'm going Rams. Matt Stafford was my fantasy quarterback, and he did great. I think he's going to put this game on his shoulders and go, and then right off into the sunset.
Oh,
and say
you think
peace.
so?
Yep, and say peace, brother. So I'm picking Rams.
I think he's a
we'll
little
see.
banged up, but anyway, that's my opinion.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's see. And of course, we'll have to do another podcast after this to see what's going on in the next games.
Right. But no, this is good. So just kind of recap for our listeners here. We were kind of talking about this coaching merry-go-round, and I kind of thought the era of long-term coaches is gone. I think I'm hearing different from you in some way.
No, actually, 3 teams does not make a league.
Right.
You have converted me to your thinking. I think overall, money's too tight. 5-year window, man. Got to get it done. If not, see ya.
Right. I'm kind of hoping the pendulum swings the other way. We start to see some head coaches stay 5 years plus. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But guess what, Jason?
What, Brian?
Yeah, we're up against that time.
Oh, yeah. Today, definitely.
Now this is fun. It's timely. It's fun. And, we'll see how we did next week. So there we go. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on Life According to Brian.
And Jason.
All right. Until next time, find us on all the platforms. Start your own podcast, all that jazz. See ya.